this is a flat frame. I've stretched the heck out of this thing to show every little flaw, and holy mackerel do I need to clean my filters. But, you know, every filter has dust on it. Then don't kid yourself. Yeah, I can clean this thing till I'm blue in the face and put it back in, and I'll have half this much just in the act of putting it in. That's like I'm in a clean room, and even still, you know, my telescope sits up and points up at the sky all night long, and guess what's at the very bottom of that tube? It's my filters. The first thing that something falling down there is going to hit. Dust comes down, hits the filter, presto, I have a new dust donut. So this is this is called a flat frame. It looks bad, but again, this is an 11% illumination difference. Between this black corner down here and that bright middle is an 11% difference in illumination. Not terrible, not too bad. By the way, the majority of the vignetting, this is called vignetting, or this optical illusion that is created by this lack of flat fielding here. Lack of having a flat field is exacerbated by the off-axis guider. The off-axis guider and the AOL, the adaptive optics, are actually smaller than the 2-inch tubes that astrophysics wants you to use. So when you've got a light cone coming to focus, and you drop some stuff in between the big light cone, guess what happens? You're clipping light off the edges. So it creates a significant flat fielding. Yes?
The shadow on the top?
Yep.
Is that your boy?
That's my Moab. That shadow right on the top is the pick-off prism that drops down. So you can see the shadow. That impacts my light cone pretty significantly. It's not as bad as it looks. I mean, it looks terrible, but it's really not that bad.
How did you take it?
There's a couple ways you can do flats. Flats should consist of, basically, what is a flat frame? Pointing at an evenly illuminated object like a screen, like the sky at dawn or dusk, or a specially designed flat box. A flat field is simply a light frame that's between 1 second and 10 seconds or so, where there's enough light to saturate about 25% of the well depth of your pixels. What the hell does that mean? The well depth on my camera is 50,000 electrons. So every pixel can hold 50,000 electrons until it's just maximum signal. That's it. It's filled up. It can't store any more data. So you really don't want to go above 50,000 ADU. I'm sorry. Okay, now ADU is a term used to define how many electrons each pixel can hold. Okay, so in my system, I want the maximum ADU, the maximum pixel saturation, to be about 25,000. 20,000, between 20 and 30,000. You're never going to get it perfect. So I shoot for that, round a quarter, around 25–30% saturation for each pixel. That's the goal. You don't want to saturate it completely. The algorithms don't work well.
Why don't you run it at like 25 to 75%? Why down?
I don't have an answer for you as to why.
Okay, but
it's required.
But doing it for a while, say just
that's better.
25 to 35%, but they all say the same thing.
Yeah,
I think it's just that if you underexpose a little bit, you're okay. But if you saturate a pixel, it's gone.
Yeah, if you saturate beyond any pixel, it's obviously no longer an accurate
But
map.
if you get the histogram, so it isn't saturating, then
You're being an absolutely linear area.
Experiment. And maybe a 50 would be okay, or 60. Maybe that would fix some of the irritating problems you're going to see as I go forward here.
What I've been doing,
my thoughts don't work, by the way.
What I've been doing is when you if you do it in the daytime with some clouds around, I've been using a T-shirt over.
Yeah, T-shirt flats. A lot of people do that.
Does that work okay?
Aperture. I've never done it.
That's what I do.
People have had great success.
All right.
Dave Gooden does it. It's a good way to do it.
Always bring a white shirt.
That's it. Yeah, people have built flat boxes, like white boxes, and they'll put like an LED in there.
T-shirt's cheaper.
True. And easier.
Yeah.
Hey Dave, when do you shoot your T-shirt flats?
When?
Yeah.
The next morning.
You want to do flats. Flats are pretty important that you do, because any little extra dust particles or dust that moves around or stirs or anything like that, your flats are worthless. So you cannot create a library of flats. That won't work. It's significantly different. And another thing is, by the way, this is what's killing me right now. S-big cameras, when they rotate their filters, they don't always stop in exactly the same place.
Oh.
That is true. Don't let them tell you that they do, because they don't. I can personally attest to that. So you'll go and apply a flat, and you'll see what this looks like in a minute. Because this is a problem I have. Every time I calibrate my images, I'm like, oh, there's a dust donut, and you can see that it's like offset by a few pixels, and it's brutally hard to deal with.
Somebody took a bite out of it.
I don't know what the hell happened to it, but it's irritating. Okay, so this has now been flat fielded. So this is a flat fielded image. So there's still a couple of problems that you'll see here. Remember those those column errors that we talked about? Well, since column errors show up in my flats, they actually get, or they show up in the darks rather, they actually get, reduced from the image. But now you've got a nice dark column in my image instead of a bright one. Well, it's still equally ugly. Then you can see that. I've also amplified an area to show some of the hot pixels and cold pixels that remain in the image. Those are pixels that are just sort of the random noise that came in with this particular subframe. It's not, that's just random noise. It's not something you can map. It could be a cosmic ray hit. It could just be a pixel that got angry for whatever reason. I don't know why. And you can see that I still have those irritating reflections. But this sub is starting to look like it's in pretty good shape. It's relatively flat. You can't see it on here, but there's actually still dust donuts on there. They didn't go away. I don't know why. But they didn't go away. Maybe I need to saturate them more. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should go to 50,000 ADU or 30,000, or maybe I should try that.
So you're saying you don't have to have a focus to create the flat?
You definitely have to be focused to create the flat. Focused at the point where you were imaging is really important. Well, yeah, focused on infinity is really important. That's important because if you change your focus dramatically, that's going to change the size of the dust donut. Remember, all the dust donut is an out-of-focus piece of dust.
The focal reduces probably about that far away from the camera chip. Is that going to have a dust?
The only way to tell is to look at your subs, and you'll know right away. If your scope is really fast, you're not going to have problems. I don't need to. I don't have any dust donuts on my Epsilon at all because it's f2.8. So just exaggerated. The light cone is like this, and the critical focus zone is like a sliver. It's super critical that it be focused. So those dust donuts are so out of focus, they cover like half the chip. You can't even see them. I mean, they're minimal. You can't see them, quite literally.
So I'm just thinking that the last surface is far enough away.
Then you shouldn't have a problem. The further away they are, the better off you are. Absolutely. And the faster your telescope is, the closer they can be and not cause problems. So for example, the dust on the filter, which is just a quarter of an inch away from the chip, maybe a little more than a quarter, maybe half an inch away, is so out of focus that it's not noticeable in my Epsilon at all. F10, F9.1 on my Ritchie, that's, it's pretty close to focus. So all of a sudden, you got a problem.
Your T-shirt. Some of us don't get to stay out all night and then shoot a flat first thing in the morning. Could you throw a T-shirt over the scope and then not right up in front of it, but shine a flashlight at it?
Yeah. Your
Flashlight?
neighbor would probably clobber you.
A flashlight?
Turn that light off.
Using a flashlight
No.
would be unevenly illuminated.
A night flash.
All my practice I'm doing right now is from the pool area of my condo complex in Mission Valley, and I have to quit by 10 o'clock because they lock the area up. But so that's why I say I am almost never going to get the chance to be out until daybreak and do this. So since it's critical that it has to be at the same focus, can I, right before I break down, stick a T-shirt over my scope and shine a light at it?
The camera, everything's going to be the exact same spot.
If the light uniformly illuminates the aperture, it'd probably be all right.
Can you do it? You can do it before dark. If you set it before dark, do it
Then you have to know where. Then you have to know where your focus
Well,
is
don't
going
touch
to
your
be.
don't touch your focus.
Yeah, don't focus after
I have
dark.
to take
It's
my, I have to take my eyepiece holder out.
Oh, what camera are you using?
DSI.
You don't need flat frames on
Yeah,
a
you
DSI.
probably
don't
could
need it.
ignore flat frames.
Yeah, you don't need them. I guarantee you. That chip is so small, and that your system is like what, f4.5 or something?
F5.
You do not need flat frames.
Okay.
Well, except for the dust.
At f4, nah.
I have noticed on a couple of my images, I'm using a light pollution filter. I was
be
looking at it when I was processing these donuts. I'm like, where did those come from?
Yeah.
And through some recent reading,
All
and
right, well, there you
now
go.
I know where they're
Maybe
coming
you
from.
do.
I carefully cleaned it.
It must be
recently.
close to your chip that you're putting
They are.
it in.
The filters are pretty close.
That's no good. Well, then you might. Oh well.
But
There goes that
you
theory.
screwed right into the
Maybe you do need to. Yeah, maybe you do need to.
Blow the front of your
I did.
film off, it probably will help.
Okay. So the next steps for me in my imaging processing is to do two things. I do hot and cold pixel repair, and you can see the results of this here. See how those hot pixels just go away? That is an algorithm that you can run, and I use Maxim DL for this. I think CCD Soft has a similar feature. I don't know about other packages, I'm sorry.
Nebulosity does this as well.
Okay, cool. I'm not familiar.